Okay, so today I wanted to talk about one of the most popular options on the Porsche 911, the Porsche Sport Exhaust System, or the PSE. Here it is on my friend Kevin's car. It's an option available in the Carrera models, and here's the standard exhaust on my car. Oh no, I did not get the sports exhaust. What is wrong with me? So what I wanted to do today is compare the sound differences between the two. It's an option that a lot of people wonder whether they should get. It's really an option that is both changes the look of the car and the sound of the car. So the sports exhaust system is about $3,000, and for that money you get the twin tailpipes, and you get the button inside the car, and obviously you get a different exhaust node. And the main reason why I didn't go for it is because I prefer the look of the four pipes. I think it actually makes the car look wider. I know it's just an optical illusion, but if you look at my car and Kevin's car from the back, somehow my car looks a little wider. I don't know whether you guys agree, but yeah, I love the look of the four pipes. Yeah, and I wish that the sports exhaust still came in the four pipes like the 991.1s did. I would totally get it then, because I find that the two pipes just slim up the back of the car, and you know, I like a big butt. Okay, but before we start on the Porsches, I wanted to set a baseline, and I'm going to do that by starting up a 3-litre Lexus over here, so you can hear the difference of sound between a regular car and a Porsche 911. Even without the Porsche Sports Exhaust, you hear just how loud these cars are. Man, I am sweating like a rapist today. It must be hot down there, William, in that fur coat. So first, a little bit of housekeeping. I'm setting the sound recording gain on all my cameras to manual for this video, so that the camera doesn't compensate for a louder or softer exhaust. There's an even playing field for all the cars. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the car, and then I'm going to rev it between 3,000 and 4,000 RPM. Here we go. Okay, so that's the baseline of what I would consider a regular car. Let's move on to my car with the standard exhaust, and you'll just see how much louder the Porsche 911 is. And finally on to Kevin's car with the sports exhaust. So that's with the sports exhaust in the normal mode. I'm now going to turn it into the noisy mode. Yes, you can certainly hear a little bit of a change when the sports exhaust is activated, but it's more noticeable from the outside than from the inside here. Okay, so now I'm going to put microphones on the outside of the cars and take them for a spin on the highway, and that's where we should really hear the difference between the standard exhaust and the sport exhaust. So before we get on to the direct comparison between the sports exhaust car and the non-sports exhaust car, I wanted to quickly touch on the functionality of the sports exhaust, which you'd think would be pretty simple, but it's actually a little more complex than you think. In the Porsche manual, surprisingly, they don't give you any information. Which is odd for Porsche, because they normally go into excruciating detail on everything. For example, there's 7 pages on how to lock and unlock your car, but when you look up the Porsche Sports Exhaust, it just says press this button to turn it off and on. And it should be that simple, but there's actually more to it, and surprisingly there's actually a third mode hidden away in the system, which I call the rice bubble mode, because it gives the snap, crackle and pop sounds, and that is only accessible if you put the car in sport mode. Once it's in sport mode, slip it into manual here, drop it down a couple of gears. Hear the burbling and the crackling there? I'll do it again. That burbling and crackling sound only happens when the car is in sport mode. You put it in sport plus mode, I'll do the same thing. No burbling and crackling. If I put it in individual mode and have the sports exhaust on, no burbling and crackling again. And once again, if I put it in normal mode and manually select it, no burbling and crackling. So it's kind of a hidden feature that I don't think everybody realizes. To get the burbling and crackling, the rice bubble mode, it has to be in sport mode, which is a little annoying because most people would probably drive this car in individual mode, where you can set up all the settings to your likings. And one of those settings would probably be to have the sports exhaust on, but you'd miss out on all the burbles and crackles and rice bubble sounds. So let's get on with the direct comparison. I'm going to run the test the same on both cars, both in third gear, both in sport mode. I'm going to accelerate and then I'm going to take my foot off the gas again. Here we go. Now I'm going to change through some gears while I'm accelerating. Obviously the gear changes sound a little different because Kevin's car's PDK and my car's manual, but putting that aside, you can really hear that difference in sound when you're going up through the revs and coming back down. Here in the cabin, not so much. Outside, certainly there's a bigger difference. Here in the cabin, where you can hear some of the pops and crackles, the cabin noise isn't that much different. And just to be complete, I'm going to put the car in normal mode with the sports exhaust on, so you can hear the difference without the rice bubble mode. And on a sort of a related note, I always love and appreciate getting to drive Kevin's car. Even though it is the same model, a Carrera 4S, and the same year, a 2017, it is quite the different driving experience because Kevin has ticked different options. It's not better or worse than my car, it's just different. And it really amazes me how picking a few different options completely transforms the driving experience of a car that should be pretty much identical to my car. You know, Kevin's got the sport package, which includes the sports exhaust and the LED headlights and so forth. He's got the 14-way seats, he's got the PDK, he's got the black interior. All these tiny little ticks and options actually make a big difference to the experience of driving this car. And I really enjoy it, you know, particularly the PDK. The PDK gives me a bit of an adrenaline rush at times because it does things that, well, it's reading my mind, I'm not expecting, because I'm used to the manual transmission, I'm used to having control of the gears and knowing when it's going to change down. So I go to put a little bit of power on and suddenly the PDK kicks in and I wasn't expecting that. The only gripe I have about Kevin's car is really the 14-way seats. You know, his car would be almost perfect in my mind if it had the 18-way seats. These seats, after sitting in my 18 ways, are quite uncomfortable in comparison. They really don't hug you and they're really not as soft. But otherwise, yeah, I love driving this car. It is like driving a completely different model of 911, even though it is exactly the same. So in summary, yes, the sports exhaust definitely makes a difference. Does it make a world of difference? Not to my ears, especially not here in the cabin. Really all I hear is when it's in sport mode, I hear more of those crackles and pops. On the outside, obviously it's a little bit louder, but it's not a world of difference. Certainly when I configured my car, one of the most common comments was, oh my goodness, you have to have the sports exhaust, Nick. It makes all the difference. It'll be terrible to drive without it. And that's just not true, you know. My car is loud enough and I enjoy the sound of it without the sports exhaust. But sure, if you want a little bit more volume and the ability to hear those pops and crackles here inside the cabin, certainly go for the sports exhaust if you like the look of it. So yeah, don't be bullied by any dealer trying to tell you you have to have the sports exhaust, you'll never sell it without it. That has proven to be just not the case. The non-sports exhaust cars are equally as popular and hold their value just as well as the sports exhaust cars. So I want to thank Kevin again for letting me use his car as always. He's always so generous with this, and it's very, very useful because it's configured so differently than my car. And I hope this video has been interesting or useful to any of you considering getting a Porsche with the sports exhaust or not. Anyway, thanks for watching as always. William and I will see you in the next video. Bye then.